Hello and good day, everyone. My name is Muhammad Daniel Afiq, and I will be presenting an analysis of Malaysia's international trade performance. International trade is one of the key drivers of Malaysia's economy, connecting the country with major markets around the world and creating opportunities for business growth. In this presentation, I will discuss Malaysia's trade performance from 2022 until the first quarter of 2026 by examining its major export destination and the trends in export and imports over the period. Let us begin with the analysis of Malaysia's top export markets.
This slide presents Malaysia's top 10 export destinations from 2022 until the first quarter of 2026. Throughout most of the period, Singapore, the United States, and China remain Malaysia's three largest export markets. Singapore contributed approximately 21.94% of Malaysia's total exports, followed by the United States at 18.62% and China at 18.29%. From my observation, Singapore consistently maintained its position as Malaysia's largest export destination between 2022 and 2025. This highlights the strong economic ties between both countries, supported by geographical proximity, efficient transportation networks, and highly integrated business activities. However, in the first quarter of 2026, the United States emerged as Malaysia's largest export market, overtaking Singapore. I believe this shift was largely influenced by the increasing demand for Malaysian electrical and electronic products, particularly semiconductors and technology-related components. As the global technology industry continues to expand, Malaysia has benefited from its strong manufacturing capabilities in the E&E sector. Despite this development, I believe Singapore remains a strong competitor for the top position. Based on the data from 2022 to 2025, Singapore recorded the highest average export value among the three leading markets at approximately 233.05 billion ringgit annually. The following graphs illustrate Malaysia's monthly export and import performance from 2022 until the first quarter of 2026. Overall, both exports and imports show a generally upward trend, reflecting growing trade activities and stronger economic performance. One common pattern observed throughout the period is the decline in both exports and imports between January and February. This could be attributed to the shorter number of working days in February, as well as slower business operations during the Chinese New Year celebrations. However, trade activities typically recover after February as manufacturing operations, logistic services, and commercial activities resume normal operations. A particularly notable trend occurred in April 2026, where both exports and imports reached their highest levels within the dataset. In my opinion, the increase in exports reflects stronger international demand for Malaysian products, especially manufactured goods and electrical and electronic products. Meanwhile, the increase in imports suggests that domestic industries were purchasing more machinery, raw materials, and intermediate goods to support production activities. This demonstrates the close relationship between imports and exports. Imports provide essential inputs for domestic production, while exports generate revenue from international markets. Overall, the data indicates that Malaysia's trade sector remained resilient and competitive throughout the period under review. Next, I will discuss Malaysia's major export sectors from 2022 until the first 4 months of 2026. According to Matrade data, manufactured goods consistently remain the largest contributor to Malaysia's exports throughout the period. The export value increased from approximately 1.305 trillion ringgit in 2022 to 1.388 trillion ringgit in 2025, while reaching 534.44 billion ringgit by April 2026. Manufactured goods accounted for around 84% to 87% of total exports, making it the dominant export sector. The main export products were electrical and electronic products, petroleum products, chemicals and chemical products, machinery, equipment and parts, and palm oil products. Among these, E&E products consistently recorded the strongest performance, reflecting Malaysia's important role in the global technology industry. Although manufactured goods remained dominant throughout the period, its contribution gradually increased, while agriculture goods and mining goods contributed relatively smaller shares. This indicates that Malaysia's exports have become increasingly focused on higher value-added manufacturing activities. Therefore, manufactured goods, particularly E&E products, were the primary drivers of Malaysia's export growth from 2022 to 2026. Moving on to imports, manufactured goods also remained the dominant import sector from 2022 until 2026. The value of manufactured goods imports increased from approximately 1.076 trillion ringgit in 2022 to 1.238 trillion ringgit in 2025, reaching 450.47 billion ringgit by April 2026. Its contribution rose from approximately 83% to more than 87% of total imports. Major imported products included electrical and electronic products, machinery and equipment, chemicals and chemical products, petroleum products, and transport equipment. The increasing share of manufactured imports suggests that Malaysia relies heavily on imported industrial inputs and intermediate goods. However, this should not be viewed negatively because many imported components are used in domestic manufacturing before being re-exported as higher value products. Therefore, the growth of manufactured goods imports reflects Malaysia's increasing integration into global supply chains. Next, I will discuss Malaysia's overall trade performance by sector. Similar to exports and imports, manufactured goods remain the dominant trade sector throughout the period. The total trade value of manufactured goods was approximately 2.381 trillion ringgit in 2022, before declining to 2.230 trillion ringgit in 2023. The sector then recovered to 2.441 trillion ringgit in 2024 and increased further to 2.626 trillion ringgit in 2025. By April 2026, the value had already reached approximately 984.91 billion ringgit. Its contribution to total trade increased steadily from 83.7% in 2022 to 84.6% in 2023, 84.8% in 2024, 85.9% in 2025, and approximately 87.4% in 2026. The major trade products included electrical and electronic products, petroleum products, machinery and equipment, chemicals and chemical products, optical and scientific equipment, palm oil products, crude petroleum, and LNG. Among these products, electrical and electronic products remained the largest contributor throughout the period. Its share increased from approximately 34.7% in 2022 to 44.9% in 2026, indicating strong and sustained growth. From my analysis, Malaysia's trade structure has gradually shifted towards technology-intensive and higher value-added industries. The increasing importance of E&E products demonstrates Malaysia's deeper integration into global technology supply chains. Therefore, manufactured goods, particularly E&E products, were the main contributors to Malaysia's trade growth from 2022 until 2026. Finally, I would like to present my prediction for Malaysia's trade performance in Q2 of 2026. This prediction is based on the average monthly trade performance recorded from January to April 2026, while also considering the overall trend from 2022 to 2025. For exports, I predict that manufactured goods will remain the dominant export sector, contributing approximately 84% to 87% of total exports. Supported by E&E products, petroleum products, chemicals, and machinery, Malaysia's exports are projected to reach approximately 487.9 billion ringgit in Q2 of 2026. For imports, manufactured goods are expected to continue dominating with a contribution of approximately 86% to 88% of total imports. The main imported products are likely to remain E&E products, machinery and equipment, chemicals, petroleum products, and transport equipment. Imports are forecasted to reach approximately 412.7 billion ringgit. For total trade, manufactured goods are expected to contribute around 87% of Malaysia's overall trade. E&E products are likely to remain the largest contributor due to continued global demand for semiconductors and technology-related products. Based on the projected export and import values, Malaysia's total trade value is expected to reach approximately 900.6 billion ringgit in Q2 of 2026. Overall, Malaysia's trade performance is expected to remain positive, supported by strong manufacturing activities and continued growth in the electrical and electronic industry. In conclusion, Malaysia's trade performance from 2022 to 2026 was largely driven by manufactured goods, particularly electrical and electronic products. The analysis shows that Malaysia continues to strengthen its position in international trade through manufacturing excellence, technological development, and strong integration into global supply chains. Thank you for your attention. That concludes my presentation.